Welcome back to Inglés 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Advanced.
Welcome back. Welcome to Advanced Class 28. Here we are in Advanced Class 28 already. Wow. Yes, and in the last class we were looking at the third conditional, often considered to be the most difficult of all three conditionals. But it's really not that tough. It's really not that difficult. If, had, would have. It's always the same. If I had learned it when I were young, I would have known it, right? If I had been born in Spain, I would have spoken better Spanish. Yes. If I had lived here for years and years, I would have spoken perfect Spanish. If, had, would have. If you had tried harder, would you have mastered it? Yes. If I had tried harder, I would have mastered it. Would you have studied if you had had time? Would you have studied it if you had had time? Would you? Yes, Kyle, I would have studied it if I had had time. Okay, so answer my questions out loud. Would she have called me if she had had more battery left in her phone? Yes, she would have called you if she had had more battery left in her phone. Her battery was running out. Agotando. Her battery was running out. It was going dead. Her battery was dying. So she didn't call me. But if she had had more battery, she would have called me, I hope. Would she have finished earlier if they had helped her? Yes. She would have finished earlier if they had helped her. Would you have taken a bicycle if the car had broken down? Would you have taken a bicycle if the car had broken down? Yes, I would have taken a bicycle if the car had broken down. I would have had no choice if the car had broken down. I would have had no other options, no other alternatives. I would have taken a bicycle if the car had broken down. Would you have tried it if you had had the opportunity? Yes, I would have tried it if I had had the opportunity. Would you have made your own if there hadn't been one available at the time? En voz alta. Give me an answer. Yes, I would have made my own if there hadn't been one available at the time. Would she have asked for help if she had needed it? Would she have asked for help if she had needed it? I like that. Asked. Asked. Think about the pronunciation there. Would she have asked? Asked.
Pronunciation. What?
Yes, I want to focus on the pronunciation of that. It's very important. Ask. Today I ask. Yesterday I asked. Lately I have asked. Asked. It's the same sound as when you say, que asco. Ask. Ask. That K. Ask. Asked. So you have the K and into the T sound. It's a D, but it sounds like a T. Asked. Okay? Yesterday I checked the answer. Yesterday I asked the question. Lately I've asked a lot of questions. Would she have asked for help if she had needed it? So pay attention to the pronunciation there. It's very important. Asked, not asked, but asked. Right? I want to hear that hard T sound. Asked for help. Would she have asked for help if she had needed it? Yes, she would have asked for help if she had needed it. Would you have eaten it if it had been ready? Yes, I would have eaten it if it had been ready. Would you have learned more if you had made a greater effort? Would you have learned more? Yes, I would have learned more if I had made a greater effort. Sure. Okay, now we have some questions in the negative. In the negative, well, giving me an answer in the negative. So would they have won? Would they have won if they hadn't trained? No, they wouldn't have won if they hadn't trained. So the grammar is just the same, right? Yes, they would have won if they hadn't trained. No, they wouldn't have won if they hadn't trained. Okay, the grammar is the same. If, had, would have. If the subject had, would have, right? Would have participle. Yes, would they have called if they hadn't needed help? No. So give me a negative answer. No, Kyle, they wouldn't have called if they hadn't needed help. Would you have played if you had broken your leg? Your leg? Now, not leg, but leg. Leg. Would you have played if you had broken your leg? Yes, I would have played if I had broken my leg. Even if I had broken my leg, yes, I would have I would have played. But that's not a very logical answer. It would more than likely you wouldn't have played. So the negative answer, no, I wouldn't have played if I had broken my leg. Broken. Would we have been on time if we had left late? No. We wouldn't have been on time if we had left late. Would she have asked for help if everything had been fine? Would she have asked for help if everything had been fine? No, she wouldn't have asked for help if everything had been fine. She wouldn't have asked for help. Why would she ask for help? If everything had been fine, what would be the reason? Why would she ask for help? Well, she wouldn't. She wouldn't have asked for help. No. Would she have asked for a pencil if she had needed a pen? No. She wouldn't have asked for a pencil if she had needed a pen. No, she wouldn't. What would she have? Well, what would she have asked for? If she had needed a pen, she would have asked for a pen, right? Don't ask me for a pencil if you need a pen. She would have asked me for a pen if she had needed a pen, right?
Expression of the day.
Yes, it is time now for our expression of the day. The expression of the day today is to jump the gun. To jump the gun. Jump, saltar. To jump the gun. The gun, yes. So imagine this comes, basically from running. Imagine you're in the Olympics. And what it means is to start something prematurely, to start too early, to jump the gun. So imagine we're in the Olympics, we're sprinting. It's the 100-meter sprint. We're running against other sprinters, and I go into the starting blocks. Okay? I go into the starting blocks, I put my hands down on the track, and there's some sort of signal that we're ready to begin. And then they have the pistol, the gun, it's called a starting pistol, that they shoot. They shoot this starting pistol. And then you can begin. Then you can start to run. But if you jump the gun, it means you start out of the blocks. They're called the blocks, those things you put your feet in to line up along the starting line. So you've come out of the blocks, you jump out of the blocks early. It means, so you've jumped the gun. It means you've started prematurely. Okay? So to jump the gun, it comes from running, it comes from sprinting, but it means to start something prematurely. So if someone says, well, I've studied the first 28 classes of Baugan Inglés 4.0, now I must be bilingual. I would say, well, no. Don't jump the gun here. Don't make a premature assessment. You have to keep studying. You have to keep working. You have a long way to go. You're on track. You're doing well, but you have to finish the course, right? You have to stay focused and keep working, right? Don't jump the gun here. So we can even, if we state, making a statement, maybe just that is premature. It doesn't have to be a physical action, but saying something saying that something is true when it's not necessarily true yet can be jumping the gun. Yeah. So if we imagine if a football team has maybe 5 points, they're 5 points ahead of the competition, and there are a few games left, and they say, oh, we're going to win the season. We're 5 points ahead. No one will catch us. We have a few easy games left. You can say, hey, don't jump the gun. Don't start celebrating, we can say, okay? It's kind of like the expression, don't count your chickens before they've hatched. Don't rely on something. Don't rely on a certain outcome until it's certain, okay? But in this case, don't jump the gun. Don't leap to a premature assessment, or don't start something early before it's not the appropriate time to start, okay? All right, now let's move on. We're moving on, but in a way we're moving back because we're practicing one more time with the third conditional. So practicing again with the trickiest conditional, the third one. But it's not really so hard. We've seen the rules. We've been practicing it for a while now. We've been practicing with questions and with answers. We've practiced in the affirmative and in the negative. Now it's your turn to form the question. Okay, so we'll start in your student guide, and on television we've done some through translation, and we'll do a little bit of translation here. But first, I'll start by telling you to ask me. Excuse me. I'll start by telling you to ask me a few things. So ask me if we would have been rewarded if we would have done better. Ask me that question. And the question is, would we have been rewarded if we had done better? Would. Now be careful with that would. It's like the w from the word huevo, egg in Spanish, huevo, would. Would we have been rewarded if we had done better? Yes. We would have been rewarded if we had done better. Mm-hmm. Ask me if we would have worked together if it had been possible. Would we have worked together if it had been possible? Yes. We would have worked together if it had been possible. Yes. Ask me if I would have driven there if there had been a public bus. Kyle, would you have driven there? Would you? Would you have driven there if there had been a public bus? Yes. I would have driven there even if there had been a public bus because I like driving. I don't know, for example. Or no, maybe no. No, I wouldn't have driven there because I support the use of public transportation, so I wouldn't have driven there if there had been a public bus. Ask me if I would have gone there if they hadn't told me about it. So imagine they told me about this wonderful place. So ask me if I would have gone there if they hadn't told me about it. Would you have gone there if they hadn't told you about it? No, I wouldn't have gone there if they hadn't told me about it.
Translation.
All right, now let's try a little bit of translation. We're going to translate a few sentences, just 5, moving quickly here. Okay, moving along quickly, 5 sentences of translation. Are you ready at home? Are you ready? De haber durado más la reunión, me habría ido. So this is a question. De haber durado más la reunión, me habría ido. Oh, excuse me. This is not a question. My mistake. I'm following the wrong sentence here. This is not a question at all. But third conditional, nonetheless, if the meeting had lasted longer, I would have left. If the meeting had lasted longer, I would have left. Okay, here we go with the question. Si hubiera habido un incendio, ¿qué habrías hecho? If there had been a fire, what would you have done? If there had been a fire, what would you have done? I would have ran for my life, and I would have screamed. Yes, what would you have done? Okay. Si él hubiera tenido más dinero, ¿lo habría comprado? If he had had more money, would he have bought it? Very good. Make sure you're translating these out loud, en voz alta, out loud at home. Okay, the next one. ¿Qué habrías hecho si te hubiera pasado a ti? What would you have done if it had happened to you? What would you have done if it had happened to you? What would you have done? ¿Qué habrías hecho? What would you have done? I don't know. Okay. Let's try two more. Two more sentences here. Two more questions. ¿Qué habrías hecho si yo no me hubiera presentado? At home? What would you have done if I hadn't shown up? One more. ¿Cómo habría sido si no hubieras tenido coche? How would you have gone if you hadn't had a car? Very good. All right, very good.
Vocabulary of the day.
Yes, it is time for our vocabulary of the day. Our 5 words of vocabulary. Ladrón de casas. Burglar. Burglar. Yes, one of my favorite words in the English language. Burglar. Contratación de personal. Recruitment. Recruitment. Prevenir. Evitar. To prevent. To prevent. The verb to prevent, yes. Visión de futuro. Previsión. Foresight. Provisional. Temporal. Tentative. Tentative. Eso es. Tentative. I am running out of time. But I want to mention one thing before I go, which is the last point. Now, I will review this at the beginning of the next class, I promise. I will review it in the next class because we're running out of time, but it's to go blank. So to go blank is when your mind goes, hey, you can't think, what was I thinking? I wanted to do something, but I've gone blank. I've gone blank. I went blank yesterday. I was talking to someone and I went blank. I totally forgot what I was saying. I went blank. I can't remember what I have to do. I've gone blank. I'm going to drill this. I'm going to practice this in the next class, but we're completely out of time. So tune in again tomorrow and we will talk about this structure to go blank, okay? Among other things. So take care and I will see you soon. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.